Okay, let's talk about the 5 pillars of prospecting. Now, I'm not going to go through these in complete detail. Let's face the facts here. These main 5 sources will more than likely be 1, 2, 3, or 5 of the main sources of where you generate your leads and your listings. What I want to talk you through today, though, is I want to break these down in complete detail and make it a more streamlined, more cost-effective, and more importantly, a more time-efficient way for you to prospect. Now, of course, print media, phone calls, social media. Social media, of course, means paid ads and organic posts. You've got your database, obviously email and newsletters, things like that. And then, of course, you've got referrals. Now, print media, of course, is the first. It's one thing that particularly a lot of marketers are talking about at the moment, saying that it's stale, it doesn't work anymore, it's outdated, it's oversaturated. Phone calls isn't too dissimilar. Now, for me, the way I look at these is, I used to speak about that a lot as well. The funny thing is a lot of these marketers floating around at the moment are saying the same things that I said 5 years ago, just trying to use it as their own. But for me, these two particularly, print media and phone calls, print media, of course, flyers, open home brochures, things like that. They still work really, really well if you have the right strategy, more importantly, if you have the right call to action attached to them. I'm going to talk you through these 5 because what I want to really focus on with you today is I want to bring them all into one central ecosystem, okay? Now let's face the facts before we get started here. Let's understand 2 things when we're prospecting. Number 1, what we need to understand is, what does your consumer want from you? You're a real estate agent, right? They want to know the value of their property. Every single one of these sources, before you talk about your fees, your marketing, how great your team is, what record sales you've got, what you're doing, they want to know the value of their property because that will immediately influence what their next decision is. So let's understand that every single one of these sources, leads in these sources, want to know one thing before all else. You provide appraisals. That's one thing that you do more than anything else in your day today. You provide appraisals and updates on people's price on their property. The second thing we need to understand is one that most agents don't think about. And more importantly, it is more important, than actually understanding what they want from you. The second thing is what they're trying to avoid, And what they're trying to avoid, whether we like it or not as agents ourselves, is they're avoiding actually speaking to us, right? Now, if you're watching this, you're probably even laughing at this because you know it's true, but yet what do agents consistently keep doing? Jamming themselves down people's throats and consistently pushing their own agenda. That is what creates this divide. That's one thing that also creates this poor stigma with real estate agents. So we want to try and give them an opportunity to get what they want from us. You, of course, still want to get the lead. You still want to get their contact information, but you want to do it in a way that doesn't create friction in that relationship. You want to do it in a way that doesn't make them jump through hoops to get what they want from you, okay? Which is what I'm going to show you today. Now, at the moment, what you're probably doing with your print media, anything that goes out, any flyers, any brochures, anything that goes out with your print media marketing at the moment has probably 2 things, your phone number and your email. And what that's doing is it's forcing people to contact you. When was the last time someone called you off a flyer? Even if you've had 1 or 2 recently, how many flyers did you have to push out for that to happen? Let me show you how you can put your print media on steroids and start generating a lot more lead flow from your print media. Phone calls is another one. Phone calls is huge at the moment for non-answering, okay? How many times do you call people, they either don't answer, or if they do answer, they're saying, I'm going into a meeting, I can't talk right now, call me back later, you never speak to them again. I'm going to show you a better way to handle that. Rather than saying, keeping them on the phone, so I'm just going to take 2 minutes of your time, which I've heard 1,000 times before, and then they end up despising you because you've forced them to communicate with you. Let me give you a better solution to those conversations. And of course, the no answers. Social media, of course, is a big one. The database on social media is huge. Regardless of how big your following is, the reach you can create through social media right now is immense, and you should really be utilizing this. And I want to talk you through paid and organic traffic databasing. Geez, the amount of databases I'm on for real estate agents across Australia and New Zealand is incredible. And the garbage that I see coming through is ultra generic and just the copy paste strategy, which does not work anymore. The final one, of course, is referrals. Now, if you've got a great referral system, that's awesome. But what you want to really focus on is a more streamlined strategy to make this more effective. Now, understanding what these people want. Let's go back to the first point that I mentioned, understanding what these people want from you. Now, that is to know the value of their property, right? So what you want to do is you want to try and direct everyone to one central ecosystem, okay? And understanding what they want is they want to know the value of their property, or they want an appraisal from you, okay? They want an appraisal on their property. Now, an appraisal is one thing, that's great, but what an appraisal generally means is you need to go to the property, you need to interrupt their day, you need to try and organize a time that's suitable to them, suitable to you, and try and squeeze it in, and you spend time trying to twist their arm into potentially selling, okay? People's BS radars are too high for that these days. An in-person appraisal doesn't work anywhere near as well as it used to. I'm not saying stop doing them. If you get the opportunity to get in front of them, do it every single time. But for those who resist, I want to give you a better strategy here. What I want to talk to you today about is auto appraisals, okay? Auto appraisal is basically an automated appraisal on screen, direct from CoreLogic. So it pulls all the data from CoreLogic and gives them an auto CMA on screen straight away. Now, this is a huge point of difference in your marketplace right now. What you're doing with your print media is you're forcing people to contact you. They're not going to do it, of course. What if you change this up and instead of telling them to contact you, don't take your contact details off the flyer or the brochure, whatever it might be, but rather have a QR code that they can instantly scan and directs people to this one static landing page. They can get an instant appraisal, an auto appraisal on that property or on their property immediately. Phone calls is another one. Rather than people trying to keep people on the phone, let them know why you're calling them. They know why you're calling anyway. Let them know why you're calling and let them know if they're too busy, you're gonna send them a text message with a link that directs to them for them to get an instant appraisal on their property or an instant price update on their property. Social media. The reason you're not getting any leads through social media at the moment is because you don't have a great call to action. If you change your call to action from saying, give me a call if you'd like an updated market appraisal, or send me an email and I'll send you a text message, whatever it might be, it's forcing them again to have to communicate with you, which is what they're trying to avoid. If you simply put a link on every single ad or post, anything that you put out, stories, reels, everything, direct people back to your bio and say, there's a link in my bio, you can instant appraisal on your property with market updates, things like that. Direct them to the one location. Databasing, of course, email newsletters and stuff. Again, I love email marketing. However, we're not using it to its full advantage at the moment. Most agents across Australia and New Zealand have a healthy database, a good number of contacts on their database. If instead of just doing a generic email, just sort of telling people what's happening in the marketplace, whatever it might be, instead change it up to, here's some information on what's happening in the marketplace at the moment. If you'd like to get an updated market appraisal on your property instantly, click this link. It's, it'll be on your phone, on your screen straight away. Referrals is another one. Now, if you can get contact information from people who you've just sold for, so if you've just sold a property for someone and they're happy to provide you contact information for friends and family members, that's great. But another thing you can start doing is saying, once you've just sold someone's property, if you have any friends or family who are looking to sell, I'd love to help them. In the meantime, we typically find most people want to know the value of their property before they do anything. If you send this link on to your friends and family, they'll be able to get an instant auto appraisal on their phone. What this does is it streamlines all your leads. It puts all of your lead flow into one central location. It saves you time, effort, energy, and finances. Why? Because it's all controlled by the one thing, okay? The lead spits out at the bottom. You get their name, number, information, of course, and all they've got to do is scan a link, click a link, whatever it might be, and they can get that on screen straight away. What this creates is, I'm not going to say it creates listings, but because obviously you still need to list the property, but what it'll create is listing opportunities, okay? Listing opportunities. And that's all ideally you need more of. You need more listing opportunities. The more listing opportunities you have, the more chances you have to list more property. What this does now is it allows you to focus on your hot database, okay? Rather than running around having to look at properties and do up manual CMAs and send people price updates on Realtair. I love Realtair, don't get me wrong, keep using it. It's a great sort of pipeline builder. But when people are ready to sell or getting closer to sell, you want to direct them to this location. Social media is the same thing. You're pushing out all this advertising at the moment. You're doing all these paid ads. You're boosting all this other crap, but it's not creating any opportunities. Why? Because your call to action isn't strong enough. Directing people to an auto appraisal that provides an instant market update or price update for their property is exactly what they want. Databasing, of course, is the same. Referrals is going to make it a whole lot easier. Here's the cool thing. This is going to make it even better and put everything you do on steroids. Anyone who isn't in your central location or your target location through social media. For example, any print media people that scan your QR code, any phone calls that may not be seeing your ads or your posts, say to your database and referrals, anyone who clicks on this link or gets to this static landing page will then also get retargeted through social media, retargeting, okay? So retargeting are those pesky ads that keep following you around the internet. Pretty much what I'm doing to you right now, if you're probably watching this, or if you've seen it in my ads, which of course you more than likely have. Retargeting is going to keep your brand top of mind. So if they're not ready to sell straight away, you don't want to completely forget about them. You're going to keep in touch with them anyway, but you want to keep your branding front and center. So you want to keep prospecting them on autopilot through social media. Again, it's going to put your personal brand, your awareness, and your credibility on absolute steroids. Here's one more thing you can use. And this, my friends, if you've watched this much of the video already, is going to be your secret weapon. How many phone calls do you get? How much buyer inquiry do you get per property? Now, how many of those buyer inquiry are buyer sellers? They need to buy to sell, or they need to, whatever it might be, right? Now, what's your strategy right now with those individuals who need to buy to sell? Do you just keep pestering them every couple of weeks and just saying, have you found something? Have you found something? Here's a property that might be of interest. Here's something that you should check out. And it doesn't get you anywhere, right? And then by the time they're actually ready to buy, they buy something and then they don't use you to sell their property. It's frustrating, okay? So here's one for you. Let's do a little side trigger here, buyer inquiry. Now, buyer inquiry is typically going to fall into the phone calls segment, but let's talk about buyer inquiry here. This is gold. This will be your secret weapon with buyer sellers. I promise you that. What you can also use this auto appraisal tool as is because it gives a price estimate on that particular property. Every single buyer seller that you speak to, let them know that they can get a price update on every property they're buying, whether it's through you or one of your competitors, by using your free tool. All of a sudden now, properties without a price or properties with a vague price guide, they can use this. Even properties that do have a price. How many people are over quoting on their price estimates these days? So it allows them to use your free tool to get a third-party, unbiased estimate on the property that they're looking to buy. They can use this as many times as they like. If they're looking at 10 properties on the weekend, they can scan this or use this tool for every property they're about to look at. That is value. That is value beyond anything else that any other agent, any other of your competitors can provide. You're pretty much acting as somewhat of the first stages of what a buyer's agent does. Okay, sure, you're not necessarily negotiating. You, of course, can help them negotiate, of course, as well, but you're helping them provide updates on what property they're looking to buy. I promise you, if you can do this with buyers, if they're looking to sell their property, I think the estimate across Australia is roughly 17 to 20% of buyers who you communicate with are actively looking to sell. That is the biggest value-driven tool that you can create for any active buyer sellers. I promise you, if you don't get an opportunity to get in the door by helping them with this, you're doing something wrong, okay? But trust me, guys, this is the 5 pillars of prospecting. You implement this, not only will you save a whole lot more time, it allows you then to focus on your hot tasks, on your dollar productive tasks, and obviously saves you a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of finances running around doing all the other things and just getting confused, right? The reason we have these 5 is because they're good sources, but the issue is we're not utilizing them correctly, and it's just driving us crazy, and we end up getting paralyzed and probably don't do any of them effectively enough. Implement this, it'll put your prospecting on steroids. It'll give you more leads and opportunities you've ever had previously. I promise you that. All you've got to do is reach out and we'll put it all together for you. We'll see you on the other side.